Hi all, good afternoon from Brazil. My name is Mayara Claus. I'm a young doctor working in a rural area in Brazil, in South Brazil. I'm really excited to be here today. We'll be discussing about cultural competence and and I hope we can learn a lot together. So I will ask for each of the people that is with us to present themselves. Can we start with Anna?
Yes. Hi, my name is Ana Julia. I'm a medical student from Uberlândia, I'm in Brazil. In the last week, I was with Mayara in Restaurant doing a play, and it's a pleasure to be here today.
Ozin?
I couldn't hear Anna, but I am working in Turkey. I was graduated from Doksail University and
Hi.
it's in English. Hi. Hello, Kerry. And now I am doing my mandatory job in Sparta and Sparta's rural part, a village. That's all from me.
Thank, thank you, Ozin. And Karine, would you like to introduce yourself?
Kerry. Couldn't hear.
I think she needs to unmute.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Karine. I'm a doctor, a young doctor from Brazil. I will start my training family medicine now in March. And I think it's sorry I'm late. I have some troubles.
No worries, Karine. You're very welcome. So today the theme is cultural competence. We have like a little bit of some parts of the world, and this is a very interesting them. We have every single health professional, I do think, have different things to understand, things to manage, and things to work with their own communities. And discussing about rural health and cultural competence is really important. So I maybe each one of us can share a bit of your rural experience, and that's where you can find the cultural competence, or giving an example of what you have saw regarding cultural competence. Then we can uh, discuss it. Is that okay? Maybe Ozin would like to start.
In the rural part that I'm working is a hospital. We have got two internal medicine specialists and one general surgeon. One surgeon, and sometimes only a week, gynecologist is coming for the hospital. And also, I am just working about their for the patients' gynecologic problems is one of my duty too. For example, cancer screening. We are just taking cervical smear, and just for the obstetric problems is again I had to find solution for this. For example, to just introducing this sterile intrauterine devices and so on, just to take it and just to take over it again, and for the controls. And so women health and also child health and elderly health is a job for our area. And also the other problem is the Syrians. There are lots of refugees here in Turkey, and also in villages there are lots of refugees. Some of them are married with the Turkish citizens, and some of them are just married each other. And this marriage is mostly not official sometimes, and polygamy is so much. And these are real, becoming real problems for culture.
Really interesting. And Karine, would you like to share an experience in cultural competence that you have?
I think my first experience about rural competence was when I worked with an indigenous population during my medical graduation. Uh, this was very different for me. It was my first time with a different culture, uh, and I could see a doctor work with this population, and she was very she knows a lot about her culture and try to respect this. So I could see the population respect the doctor as well, and they could work together. Was a very nice experience. The doctor, for example, sometimes say for the patient do some plant treatments or something like that and respect them. Uh, in another time, I could spend some time with a doctor in a rural area in my state in south of Brazil, and this area was a lot of immigration from Germany. So many people in this area, more the old people in this area, sometimes they speak just German. So this doctor, when he started to uh, work in this with this population, he started to learn about this language for facilitate the work. So with this experience, I could see some things about that. I think is it.
Thank you. Great.
Could hear nothing. There's only a melody here. But tonight the voices.
Yeah, I don't think she's Anna. If you can unmute here. Yeah, okay.
Uh, Here where I live, I didn't have any experience in rural areas because um, my university don't have the experience in rural places. Are you listening? Uh, but in January, I did a placement with Mayara in south of Brazil, and there was one of the most things that interested me was about the tobacco production in the region. That the place where I live, we don't have contact with this type of production, and there it was one of the things that most uh, takes my attention because of the damage that this production caused to the population, and that it was a thing that I didn't know about. But about my area, I where I live, I don't have any experience to share because I didn't experience it here, just in the south of Brazil.
Anyway, you can share your experience from Brazilian South. So I will share experience. I was organizing a conference about the Quilombola population, the indigenous population in south of Brazil, and I was one of the organizers from that, and one of the things that I perceived, and I'm really sorry that they are not participating. We need to move more for more participation from different communities. But what I keep in my mind is that the people were we usually talk as like indigenous population or even quilombolas as a whole, as they are all equal, but they have different each one of the groups are different, and they have different priorities, and some of the groups do not like to have conversation with each other. So this is quite hard to manage when you want to do an event, or even every single community is different. So this is really important to keep in mind. I also really like to study about cultural competence, because I do think uh, usually people don't reflect when you do not do a good communication with a patient, like when you are not able to discuss something well. And usually we blame, some people blame the patient or are not, but we are not like satisfied with, how I can explain. If we do a procedure and we make it wrong, it's our failure. But sometimes we are not are not cultural competent, and then we think that's not our failure when you're not cultural competent in communication. So this is something that's growing a lot in Brazil, and I do think we need to discuss this for world perspective. So we have techniques and all this kind of things. And I do work in an area that I have indigenous people, that I have Quilombola ones, and I also have Germany. So some of the basic stuff from physical examination I need to learn in Germany to speak with the patients. So yeah, part of my experience in a rural area. But I was quite curious about the Aboriginal community that you were mentioning, Osdin. Which kind of the group is, or I even know that you have all this polygamy and this kind of things. It's really interesting. What kind of problems that you face when you have this kind of different, culturally difference, and how do you deal with that? Ozzy, I think you're muted. Okay. Well, until Ozing didn't and couldn't answer us,
Are you
I will.
hearing?
Ah,
Do you
okay.
hear me?
Now,
Yes.
yes.
All right. If the gynecologist is a man or seems man, they just don't want to be examined by him. They're just going there and see that he is man and just coming downwards to me and saying, "Oh, there's a man there, so I just came here to see you." That's a problem for me. Because when we just ask them, do your children, the girl children, going to school? They said no, but they just want women doctors. So where will just those women doctors will grow up if you just don't make your children go to schools? And that's really a real problem for this part. And now this refugees are changing the tissue. This is a problem. For example, two women just came to see you, and none of them just know the Turkish. We are using Turkish at the polyclinics, uh, and they are just trying to help each other to tell their problem. And afterwards, I just learned that these two has got the same man as husbands, and because of that, they are just coming together. And the two is pregnant. What will you do?
And did you have any like thing about cultural competence on your curriculum? Each one of us had any specific, I don't know, thing on cultural competence on curriculum on medical school?
No, it wasn't just a topic for it. I mean, you have got a statement, just let me say, separate dermatitis and cultural competence. This is not a topic like that. But when we are doing it at clinics, the people are just telling to, for example, lecturers just told you, by the way, uh, let's say your anamnese, could you take an anamnese from that kind of patients? What will you do? And this is just going by this way, not telling like a lesson, but just going on practice. Let's see what will we do. And afterwards, you're just talking to patients and getting advice. What can I do, or what could be other problems? It is the same with domestic violence. Most of the people just coming, just saying that every part of their body is aching, and you can find nothing like aching part, not rheumatoids, not infection, and not anything else. Afterwards, you're just, if you just talk a little bit, you can just learn it. It's something like that. When we are just in it, we are just learning.
So it's a much more practice thing, like when you
Yes,
are on practice. Yeah.
it's just living, not just talking.
Okay. And Anna, what is your experience in medical school and cultural competence? Did you have any class or something?
So I didn't have any class about culture competence here in Berlin, and I didn't remember of having any experience about these things in here.
And you, Karin?
So, in the regular curriculum in my medical school, we uh, the, haven't any cultural competence, but I had some things with another project with the indigenous project because I had some time. I spent some time with the indigenous populate, but we had once a week a meeting for discuss about that. So we discuss about cultural competence a lot, and I participated in another project, a Rondon project, and this project as well, we choose some students for organize a small group, and this group spend 2 weeks in a small city in rural area in Brazil. So I could spend some time in a rural area in Brazil, and the teachers who organized this project also talk about rural competence. So I had this experience in my medical school, but in another project, not a medical project. This project was from the university. So in the curriculum, we didn't have nothing about that.
Yeah, for me as well. Like I get interested by it when I start to deal with the patients, and then I need to communicate in a way that they could understand myself, and then we can construct something together to find the best way to care him or her. But one of the things that I start to think about when I was a medical student is like regarding the cultural baggage that each one of you us bring with us, and then I start to explain to other people that when we are in a surgery to discuss something or doing an appointment, that I will open my own bag and the patient will open their bag, and then we will ask, do you want these socks, and or do you want these pants, and then we will exchange the clothes of the bag. But in this way, like to say what the kind of way to find the communication skills on that, because when we are talking about cultural competence, we have the whole life story of the person, the way that she or he understands life, the way that they work, the financial uh, thing, the whole the spirituality, and this is really important to understand what is disease and what is illness for the person. So this is quite interesting to deal with, and I do think it's one of the most uh, beautiful parts of medicine, because the diseases are equal, but what is different is the person, is the culture, and how will I get more close to this person. So I do think this the cultural competence is interesting. It's an interesting topic because of this. So why do you think that maybe should we reflect on the fact that we need to have more cultural competence classes, or how do we can bring it more close to people and interact with that? Anyone of want to comment? Karin, Anna, Ozing.
Yes, we can get something like that, but could we just talk about what is normal? Is the normal or they are normal, and who's there? And this is a kind of problem. Uh, as I said before, you just want medical doctors as women, but you are not graduated them from medical schools. So, is it normal? I mean, are you realistic what you need and what you are talking about? And are you? Can you just look inside of you? Have you got any time for your patient at your surgery to get this insight? Uh, could we make it by a curriculum? Well, if it's something that's changing day by day, maybe it could be. But we can't just stigmatize people. I mean, I don't think that all the Syrians just polygamic. The ones I saw are as they are. Maybe the others aren't. So maybe because of that, we don't see them because they haven't got any problem. So could we stigmatize them, or is it their normal situation? And this is a problem, I think. There are more researchers has to be done and said something. If you just separated them, that means they will become the others, but they are not.
That's true. The stigma thing and the taboos are really like, sometimes people even enter in the room and people can start to judge it. But exactly what you guys said, Ozzy, what is normal and what is not, and all of us have a life history that we can reflect on it. So this is really interesting, and this is what makes us humans as well. Maybe Anna, Karine, would you like to comment?
So I think uh, I think it's very important when we uh, are starting a new meeting with the patient. I think it's very important we show for the patient that we are open for he, his story, because sometimes I don't know how it's in your country, but here in Brazil, sometimes when the doctor go for work with a population in rural areas or with indigenous population, quilombolas, or this this kind of population with the culture is more strong. Sometimes the patient is scared about what the doctor will think if they say what they think, if they say the things about her culture, or things like that. So I think it's very important the doctor about the communication. The doctor show that he is open, and the doctor as well ask about that, like Mara said before, about how the patient see the situation, how the patient think is the best way, and so uh, try respect more the culture. I don't know, here I feel the patient sometimes is so afraid about what the doctor will think, and sometimes they just don't tell anything, just wait the doctor say, and go away, and don't tell anything, don't ask some questions, don't, just because is afraid.
I do think that's really true, Karen. And one of the important things is that we need to bring community more into the universities. As Ozin was saying, that the young girl will become the woman that will be the gynecologist or the general practitioner that will work with the community. And I do think one of the things that we need to do is bring more people from different cultures into the university to work with their own communities and empower people to do their own training and care their communities. This is the most important thing, I do think. And here in Brazil, to approximate the community to the health service, we have the community health workers. I do think Anna can comment on the work of they do because she followed some of them. I would love to listen your comments, Anna.
Yes, yes. In my placement with Nayara in Cunha, I visited some houses with two community health work. And the work that they do, I said to her, it's amazing because they they walk like 30 kilometers per day to arrive in the house to the people to tell about themes related to health. And as Mayara says to them, they are the eyes of the public clinics in the houses of these people because it's the community health worker who realize what problems that families have and brings these problems to the nurse, to the doctor, to the dentist to say what the health team can make to help these families. So they are the glue between the health team and the community. It's a very beautiful work.
Ozin, do you have community health workers in Turkey? I do think I muted you because you're muted. If you can unmute. But just to corroborate with what,
Tell me
yeah,
again.
okay.
Do you hear me? I think you do. Yes, we have got community health workers too, but the description is a little bit changed. When you are talking about community health working, that means it's just for doing the statistics and management. But in general practice, we are also working as community health workers, and it's just getting a combining with each other. For example, home services a part of our duty. We are just going to people's house for their palliative care and other examinations and the other things should be done by us too. So we are just working for community as health workers too, by this way. But as a department, it's something different in Turkey. They are just the management part. And the other health workers are just using in the justice part, for example, the divorced family about domestic violence, and for example, father wants to see his or her son, and so just want to see it sometimes. So community health worker just could be there at that time, uh, not always. Um, yeah, something like that. What is yes? You said
Uh,
yes, but I don't understand. All right.
yeah, here in Brazil, the community health workers are people from the community, and um, they visit normally they are responsible for a micro area in the community that is attended by the public clinic, and they I think Mayara can help me to explain, but the work that they do is to visit these families. They don't do medical procedures at now, and they just visit the family and see how they are, if they are taking the medications, if they have some problems, if they need the help of the doctor or the nurse. And normally the families that they visit are people that they know because they live in the area that they are responsible for.
That's true. They also like to represent the community. So we do have like regular meetings to discuss the health of the community. So they bring like major problems and individual problems as well. So we can work on that as like the rural general practitioner has this um, task to change the community and the health determinants. And also here in Brazil, we have the social control, which is a term that's we do not have a good translation into English, but it's kind of an accountability thing that we develop with with community health professionals to guarantee that the whole community is well cared and have access to health. So this is quite interesting when we have the community health workers which are from community and work with with the community to develop it. Do you have any experience, Karen, also?
Yeah, I had some experience, interesting experience with the community health works as well. The first was with the indigenous population when we was in a consultation, and the indigenous woman was deaf, and they used a special sign language, but a different, not the Brazilian language. So the health community health work help us about the communication with this woman, and as well in here in the Germany immigration, sometimes the community health worker help with the language, and as well sometimes people from the community feel more comfortable when we go in their house, and the another people, the another person from the community go uh, together. It's more comfortable, it is more relaxed, and facilitate a lot the communication. uh, was very very nice, these experiences.
Great. And do you have like anything that you keep in mind when you are dealing with a different community when you are talking about cultural competence? Karin or Anna? Or something that you are reflecting that you will bring when you are like going to a different community? Do you have anything that you keep in mind? One of the things like yeah,
Maybe the
go
first
ahead.
thing is to listen.
Sorry,
If you just if you are ready to listen, they are just keeping on telling. If they knew that they will get at least being listened, they are telling what they do really want. If the language isn't appropriate, we can find a way to talk about it. So first listen, see and listen.
that's the first rule for everything. I do think in when you're talking about health, first listen. But as we are like very scientific or something like medicine passed through a long process of purifying it and getting more and more scientific. People usually think that maybe we are doing the care, not we, but like generally a lot of verticalization of the care, like you need to do this, you need to do that, but not taking the cultural part and the life of the person that is with us. Don't take it on accounting it when you're talking. So I do think the first role always should be listen and try to get empathy and think what is the life history of that person and why is he or she saying that, and so be sensibilized about the uh, local culture and rural context. It helps a lot. One story that I want to share, I was like following a doctor in a placement, and then he said to me if I have planted some kind of a local plant, and I said never, I didn't did it yet, and he said I tried to do just to understand how difficult it was for the people to collect it and how difficult it was to work on it. So this shows a huge empathy. So he put his hands on the land to understand what is living just a bit more close with his patients. So I do think when we are open to do these kind of things, we can provide a better and a cultural competent care. We are like close to the end of this rural cafe, so I want to ask if any want to do like a final comment or bring another question. So feel free.
There's something that I learned today from a news in internet. It's not a rural part; it's a center part of Turkey. A specialist about chest pulmonology has been a woman has been violenced by two other women patients. What will you do in that part when you see something like that, when you're in the middle of something is coming like this?
Okay.
She has been
So,
tortured.
just a final question. So, do you have like folk healers in Turkey, or like any of you have dealt with folk healers, like that do pray for the patient to cure them, or do, or like folk illness that are just carried by some kind of folk healer and the doctor do not have a part in it? We have it in Turkey. We have a lot in Brazil.
Well, as I learned that the women doctor has been tortured, I think that somebody has to pray for us now, as my colleague or my colleagues. You're just trying to give medication for your patients, and you have been tortured.
Yeah,
All right. Yes, there are in some parts. Yes, there's we call them
yeah,
imam.
like
Hmm.
yeah,
But it's
like
not.
to
It is not
yes,
something
from
we see right now.
yeah. Well, actually, like we do have a lot in the community where I work. The folk healers, they are called benzedeiras, and
Yeah.
we kind of have some, not a referral, but they I have talked with them, and like I asked to referral for myself the problem, and some patients go directly to them to to have some folk illness that are just cured by them. But I always ask for sending to myself, and some patients asked also to go to them. So I always have like an opinion that they could do the both things if they want, and they are we are really happy to cooperate together for the best care. So we then bring this spirituality to the discussion, and I do think this is really strong as well. So final comments, Karin, you would like to bring? You,
Thank you very much.
I was hearing about what you say before, Mayara, and so I remember a thing that happened with me. I spent a month in rural area in Australia, in Emerald, with Dr. Ewan. And so when I arrived in the clinic, more three trainings arrived in the same month. And so they organize a day for we could go in a coal mine for know how was the work in the coal mine. So we went in the coal mine. We used the clothes, the boots. Uh, we went inside the big trucks, and so we could see how was the work. And so after Dr. Ewan say for us, so we care a lot of people who work in these mines. So we need to know how works this coal mine for understand I'm driver. I driver in the mine. Okay, you are driver, but it's very different. Driver drive a car and drive a big truck like that. So he said it's very important. We know how is the work. We know how is the life with this population. So uh, this was amazing experience for me because I could see some patients before that and after go in the mind. So uh, I could see how important is the culture competence, how important is we know more about because it's very different when the patient tell us and when we go, when we see, when you okay, now I will learn more about that, I will read more about that, and so I can understand more my patient. So I think is that we needed to be open when the patient come with us, and we need go more curious, be more curious about. But what is this that my patient is tell me? So I think is that we need to be open and curious for know more our patients. Thank you.
Osdane, would you like to do any final comments?
Well, no, thank you very much. But I
Okay.
just want to taste the tea that you are drinking.
Sorry?
I just want to taste the tea that you are drinking.
Yes, when we met, probably in a conference on the bike, and I will try to bring Karin drink it as well. And Anna tasted, but she didn't like it at all. But when we met, probably I will try to bring with myself as well.
All right.
But for who is watching, it's called mate. It's a traditional drink for indigenous people from Brazil. We do have a lot of respect on it because it's a way who drinks it is never alone because the tree have a lot of meaning on the indigenous community. It came from the Guaranis, which is the indigenous that discovered this plant in Latin America, and it has a huge sense of community. So every time that I prepare a mate, what is the name? I try to do my, I pray for them and with a lot of respect. So for sure, you have it, and it gives a lot of energy. It has a bit of caffeine, chantings, and I will be really really happy to share with you. And Anna, would like to have any final comment?
Uh, no, I just want to share a story that happened here in Berlin, in the hospital of my university. One day, a refugee from IT, I think, IT, uh, she was admitted to the service of gynecology and obstetrics here, and she was pregnant, but was a ectopic pregnancy, and nobody in the service talked with her in her language. Nobody knows how to talk in the language of her community because she didn't talk in French, just in her national language. So she was really afraid and she didn't understand why they were taking her baby from her. And it was very traumatic, this situation. And it showed to me how we are not prepared to deal with another culture and how we should learn more about this. And this meeting was so important because of this for me.
Great. I do think we need to sensitize when we are talking about cultural competence, get empathy, and be humble to understand what's the person feelings and understand about even if you have all the knowledge, every single person is in the universe, and we need to get this universe, and we are getting in touch with this universe as well as we are one. So thank you so much for participating on the Rural Cafe. I hope we can keep discussing it. The next Rural Cafe will be a really important one. It will be about the mentor mentee program in March 17 at 12 p.m. GMT. So all invited. I do think it will be a great cafe, and we are getting prepared for India conference, and I hope to see all of you there. So thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.